Yeah. Hi all guys. So we will be discussing about GATE Computer Science Engineering online coaching provided by IGC. So we are basically Bangalore based institute and we have been providing offline GATE coaching in Bangalore, and after COVID-19 we have moved to online on online platform, and now we provide GATE online coaching for Pan India CSE aspirants. So we will be discussing about course details for GATE 2021 and 2022 CSE online coaching. So here we take our classes on weekdays and weekends, and weekdays classes are held between Tuesday to Thursday for 3 days. It will be for July batch, and timing for weekdays classes is 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. And weekends we have class on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday timing is 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. and it is in two slots like 2:30 to 4:30 and then half an hour gap, and then like 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday it is morning 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again two slots 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Then half an hour gap, and then 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And the course duration is 6 months. It is from July 12 to December end, and we'll be teaching around 450 hours in this duration. So weekly we'll be teaching around 16 hours, monthly around 70 hours, and in 6 month duration around 450 hours. We will be covering all technical subjects, some engineering mathematics part which is there in GATE CSE and aptitude. And classes are live interactive classes. There it's a two-way learning. You can ask any questions in between during class, and you can use audio as well as a chat option for your any of the doubt. And syllabus will be covered well before GATE exam, at least 1 month prior. Okay. And apart from that, you guys will also get study material in e-form, topic-wise assignments also you guys will be getting. And we have online exams, topic-wise online exams, which is kind of weekly online exam. So after whatever topic we cover, and it is on GATE pattern. And there are separate doubt and problem solving classes apart from these subject classes, and the fee for this course is 25K. 1 year course here means GATE 2021, and 2 year means it's a GATE 2022. So this 2 years means it's a first year 25K, second year 12K. But here some concessions are applicable based on academic credentials and considering other factors. You will be also getting the references, open source references like for engineering, mathematics, aptitude, and other technical subjects. So this is about course details. So anyone has any concern here in terms of the timing, in terms of the support? Because in last class, that toppers talk, there was one concern. What all things we provide in our course package? Nitin, any concern here?
I just want to ask that for a 2 year course, do we need to pay 37K at once
N-
or
No,
first year
no,
25?
not at once. It is first year 25K, next year 12K. That also depends on the how much support you are looking for. If you want to attend whole classes, then only you have to pay 12K. Otherwise, you have to pay only for your doubt support and test series part.
Okay, fine. Sir.
Yeah. So you are in third year, Nitin, or you are passing now engineering?
Sir, in August I will be in third year.
Okay. So you will be writing GATE 2022 or GATE 2021?
I have not decided that yet based on my
Oh,
performance.
okay, all right, no issue. So definitely this 2 year program will be open for anyone whoever want to. Okay, and here on classes will be online, and once like this COVID
Sorry to
situation.
interrupt here. So,
Yeah, yeah.
does it have any age limitation for the gate actually?
No, there is no age limitation for to appear for GATE exam, but there are age limitation to get in PSUs. Okay, there are some age limitation based on PSU to PSU. For GATE, you can appear even to get in PhD also. You need to go through GATE exam to get in PhD admission as well in Premium Institute. So GATE is like anytime you can do masters using GATE score. No age
Okay.
criteria for that.
Okay.
Yeah. And any concern in terms of the timing, the schedule, or any other thing here? What all things we are going to provide and support? So this is what about this course detail provided by IGC. And another thing I want to mention, we don't believe in marathon classes. Okay, so classes has to be effective, and it has to be well planned, and that is where we always believe. Okay, you cannot sit 4 hours or 5 hours continuously in front of your laptop or PC. Okay, it is not offline classes. So considering that factor in mind, we have planned class. Every class slot is of 2 hours, not more than that. Okay, yeah. So after
Dinesh sir,
class, yeah,
just to add a point over here, so the GATE score validity is for 3 years. So suppose
yes,
you give GATE exam in 2021, your GATE score will be valid till 2024. I mean, you can apply to different colleges from using the same GATE score.
yes,
It
that's
doesn't matter
that.
if you're in third year or
Yes,
fourth
yes,
year.
yeah,
Yeah, so if you're in third year, you can write GATE in 21, and then you can use that GATE score to even apply for colleges in 23 also.
yes, yes.
So that is one
That's
plus
the
point.
advantage. Yeah, but I was very unlucky, guys, sir. I wrote GATE in 2009, and that particular year they made 1 year validity. Okay. So earlier there was like for 2 year until 2008, and then 2009 they made it 1 year. Then again they made it 2 year, and then now 3 years. But in
Now it is
PSU,
3 years, yes.
yes, and in PSU the PSU to PSU, they some PSU ask latest GATE score. Some PSU allow previous GATE score also. So it depends. Like DRDO allow previous
But
year's GATE
sir,
score.
in computer science, there are not many PSUs.
Exactly.
So mostly students who apply for computer science exams, GATE exam, so they either want to do PhD or want to do masters.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So
And we all know there is a very bright future after pursuing masters from IITs and ISC, especially in software engineering or CSC branch. So it's like best opportunity to get in again in Premium Institute after missing one bus. We have missed it at 12th standard. So that is
yeah,
another bus.
I mean the if you crack GATE and get into one of the old IITs or ISC, you'll not only have the opportunities, you'll have a lot of choices to make after that. So I mean,
Yes.
if you go for any company now with bachelors, they'll mostly put you in testing. So once you do your masters in ISC something or some equivalent colleges, then you will be able to get a very good development role in their one of the core technologies. So the kind of
Yes.
work, the quality of work that you'll get after masters is way better than the work that you'll get with BTech from a mediocre
Ye-
college.
Yes. Yes. Sir. You are true. So after this, we will move to next section, and which is about Team IGC. And one more thing I want to highlight, at IGC we are teaching GATE CSE first time. Okay, but don't worry, because here to teach well we have a team. Okay, so you guys can see we have multiple team members and they have multiple subject expertise, and they all are from premium institutes. Already we have completed few of the subjects for our February, guys. Though we are teaching it first time, we have completed discrete mathematics, we have completed digital logics, we have completed computer organization, we have completed programming, almost mathematics part we are completing. So same way for July batch also, we will be covering subject by subject, okay, on time. So you guys will not require to worry. Okay, so here you can see we have Mr. Deepak sir. He will be available today for your demo class, and he will be discussing about computer network. And Karthik sir was already discussing about opportunity after master. So he take care of different subjects like discrete programming. He will be starting for you guys programming for July batch. Then later on he will be moving to data structure algorithm part, and then finally he'll be also taking care of compiler design. Then we have Mr. Vishal Israni. He's from IIT Mumbai. He also has expertise in data structure and algorithm. So we will see what support he can provide in later on. Then we have Mr. Deepak Punia sir. He's having expertise in discrete mathematics and theory of. He's good almost in every subject, but to you guys he will be providing mainly support for discrete mathematics and theory of computation. He may provide, later on support for COA as well, but yet it has to be decided. Then we have Mr. Sachin Mittal, and he also having expertise in computer network and compiler design. So based on, if we plan any new batch after July, then he will be also, involved in one of the subject. Then we have Mr. Chaitanya sir. He is expertise in mathematics. Uh, then we have two expert for digital logics. Once already we have done with Mr. Prashant sir. Then we have Mr. Dheeraj. These two guys are from GATE EC background, because this digital logic is common with other EC electrical and instrumentation branch. So the to you guys this will be taught by expert from electronics background. Then aptitude also we have expert Mr. Shivakant, and for aptitude we are already sharing weekly assignments. So yesterday you guys might have got assignment for aptitude, which is almost sixth or seventh assignment, which we have shared in every week down the line. Then if you come to GATE CSE syllabus, there are 10 sections. The first section is what engineering mathematics. So in that also there are two part. One is a discrete mathematics and one is a engineering mathematics, which is more with the other branches common. And then we also include aptitude part. So together it comes almost 25 marks. Then we have other subjects like digital logics, computer organization and architect, programming and data structure, algorithm, uh, and the theory of computation, compiler design, operating system, database, and computer network. So like subject like computer network has more syllabus, and then in this mathematics also has more syllabus. So remaining other subjects has a moderate syllabus, so can be covered in around 30 hours. But if you take computer network it will take more time, 40 plus hours. If you take engineering mathematics together with discrete, and that also take more time. So wherever more time is required, it will be allotted, and all the subjects will be covered well. And Mr. Karthik sir will be taking lead for any concern from GATE CSE branch. He is our subject expert. And with we have Deepak sir, we have two Deepak sir, Deepak Anand sir and Deepak Punia sir. So they will be also keep supporting you guys. Then we have Sachin sir, Vishal sir. They have not introduced yet to IGC program, but on in down the line they will be also part of the. And
So, sir, just to mention, apart from all the course coverage, we have started one-on-one classes every week. I usually take care of that task. So these are one-on-one meetings for around 10 minutes every week, held on Sunday. So in this, if you have any concern regarding preparation strategy or something like that, you can talk to me about it. And if you're facing any problem regarding time management, anything, so this is, we have just started to, make sure that everyone is on track regarding their preparation, because we still have around, 8 months of time before we give GATE exam. So people are not usually that, motivated to continue studying for this long. This is why we have started this thing as well.
yeah, so thanks sir for this initiative. And this is how we will go for syllabus coverage over this course duration. So from July, we are starting three subjects: discrete mathematics, programming, and computer network. And then from August, we'll be also taking data structure and the remaining part of engineering mathematics, which is like more of calculus, linear algebra, and other topic. And from September, like once like data structure is done, we'll be moving to algorithm, and like once computer network is done, then we'll be moving to database and management system. And then from October, we'll be teaching, compiler design and theory of computation. At the last, we'll be having three subjects left with us is like digital logics and COA and aptitude, because these digital logics and COA are, interlinked in some extent. And first we'll complete the like digital logics, and then we'll move to COA. And at the last, in December month, we'll be teaching, aptitude part. So this is how we'll be completing syllabus in next 6 month duration. And these are our sample work. So I have shared already link for our sample assignments, sample study material, sample online exams. Sample videos are also available. From last 2 to 3 months we are sharing videos on YouTube on different subjects. So some of the videos shared by Karthik sir, Deepak sir, and a few more videos we'll be sharing on YouTube for each and every subject of GATE CSE, to showcase what best quality learning we are providing at IGC. And these are our contact details. Phone number is there. We have two mail IDs. You guys can always reach either to info@iitnsgateclasses.com or iitnsgateclasses@gmail.com. Our website is iitnsgateclasses.com, and it's very much visible on Google. You guys can search for feedback and other thing. We are also present on social medias on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. You guys can check each and everything about us. Our classroom location is in Bangalore, and it is in we take classes at Hindustan College, and which is close to Marathali. So Marathali is a junction where nearby Whitefield, where many MNCs are situated. Either it is from core CSE or any other engineering branch. And our office is located again near Marathali area called Panatur, where we are situated. So this is all about basic details about IGC GATE CSE program and kind of support we provide. Now I will make you guys go through few more things like IITN's GATE classes website. So you guys can see this is IGC website, and here each and every details are mentioned about the kind of programs we are providing. And you guys can see here there are different links available for previous year's paper, GATE study material, syllabus, and about our achievements, and about our team, fee structure, scholarship program, or any other thing. And here one important thing which I want to show you guys, like kind of assignments we have. So a few of the assignments are available, you guys can go through. And there is a plan to increase the number of questions what we have currently. So this is how our assignments looks. So before joining, you guys can go through all these details. Okay, so this is what IGC support. And apart from that, the timetable is shared weekly on our website. So you can see here the timetable is scheduled, and this is batch 3, which is going to start from July 12th. So we have the first class on Sunday. So you guys can see here for computer science, we have two classes. One is for computer network, and one is for discrete mathematics. So here on, after the July 12th, other weekdays also we will have classes. Saturday also we will have class. All the details will be available here. And then the another thing is what we have online test series as well. So I will So you can see this is what for GATE CSE, these all exams are already available for whatever subject we have covered. So if you take COA, you will find the exams available exams. So there are 4 exams available for COA itself. So you guys can go and attempt any exam. So generally you can see these exam will be for short duration because these are the topic wise exams. So if I start writing exam, you guys can see the environment. It looks exactly like GATE. So there are 2 kind of questions. You can see the MCQ questions, or there are short questions also, where you have to just answer in the mm, digit. You cannot write any other than digit. And here also, your keyboard will be disabled, so you have to use only mouse. You can see here the time is flying. You can see here the virtual calculator. It is quite fast, like your GATE calculator. Okay, so this is what all support is required. We are providing, though we are starting this branch newly. And study material will be also available, and it will be shared whatever we discuss in class. So it is this year it's a class notes, okay. But it will be in e-form. So both study material and assignments will be in e-form. All the exams will be available on this IGC online test series portal, and all the classes will be taken through IGC online coaching platform. So we have a separate platform for our online classes. So once you submit this exam, you can see, this is how it will look. So whatever, your rank, how much time you took, how much marks you got, and after that you can see the correct answers. If you have done anything wrong, it will be red. If you correct anything, it will be green. So this is what you know about our exam support. So that's all from my side. If you guys want to know anything, you guys can ask me. Otherwise, I will hand over to Mr. Anand sir. He will take care of technical part. So guys, anything?
Sure, sir.
So Deepak sir, I'll make you presenter. Before that, any concern or any doubt, Nitin, Anuradha, or any other person? Ishan?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. So Deepak sir, you can start, sir.
Start. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my audio is clear? Okay. Yes. Okay, guys. So let's start computer network. So in computer network, actually, OSC model and all these things. So in the first, we will talk about the introduction of computer network. So first, we will talk about the introduction of computer network. Then we have a data link layer and LAN protocol, and then network layer and transport layer, then application layer and layer security. So in the application layer, we are talking about session layer and presentation layer. So each and every topic we will cover. Like if you see from 1990 year to 2019, 20, all question will be covered from this topic. All questions, not a single question will be left. So you, by this concept, you can solve each and every question of last 30 years easily. So I will share the notebook or that question book also, where all the 30-year questions are there. Right? And little bit introduction about this one. So in the introduction to computer network, I will talk about OSI model here, then TCP/IP model, then here physical layer in the introduction itself I'm talking about, right? And the network types and topology. Right? So in the data link layer, I will talk about in the data link layer flow control. In the flow control we have three techniques: stop and wait, then go and back, and selective repeat. Then media access control or medium access is the same thing. In the media access control, FDMA, TDMA, CDMA, all these things. Then polling and reservation, token passing, Aloha. We have two types: pure Aloha and floating Aloha. Then CSMA protocols. This one I will talk about. Then we have a exponential backoff algorithm. Then error control also. Error control, few techniques are there. Error control. And in the LAN protocol, I will talk about Ethernet, tokening, and wireless LAN. These three things. And after each topic, I will talk about solved problems from the previous year question, right? And in the network layer, we will talk about network devices, and then IPv4 addressing system and IPv4 header format, then routing algorithms, right? We have few routing algorithms. Then in the TCP layer, two protocols, TCP or UDP. In the TCP, I will talk about congestion control and flow control, and few techniques are there for congestion control and few techniques for the flow control. And in application, and multiple protocols are there. HTTP is there, FTTP is there, SMTP is there, DNS is there, and few more. So I will talk all the protocols in detail, each and every. And the security, so public and private cryptography, right? So in this, Diffie-Hellman, RSA, and one more algorithm. Mainly three security algorithm I will talk about. I think this is sufficient and more than enough. And from this concept, you can solve each and every question from last 30 years, and that is more than enough. So you have to give preference to last 30-year question, then doing practice by giving test series and all the last test. And there is one also website is here, Gate Overflow. Most of the guys already know Gate Overflow. In this near about 30,000 questions are there, right? And all over the India, actually, all over the India students are there on this only for the CS, right? So you can get to know the competition also. Right now, how the competition is going on, how the students behave. So who is giving 2021 test? Most of the guys, especially toppers, on this Gate Overflow. And that website is made by IISc guys only. IISc Bangalore guys only, right? So that is very efficient, and you get to know the competition all over the India, how it's going on. So you can target gateoverflow.in. We will talk about everything. Guys, right? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Otherwise, you can ping me yes or no. That's fine. Just class be responsive, right? That is important. Okay. So let's start. Let's start with the first of all. I will talk about right now IPv4 addressing, which is a part of network layer. The first topic I will complete this one. Then only we will start the introduction of computer network and remaining physical and data link layer. Right. So for today, actually, this topic will take 4 to 5 hours. So today I will talk about this part and some problem. Right. So in the next lecture I will talk about this one, and again real complex problems, and means almost last 10-year problem. I will cover each and every. And this is very most important topic. Most important. Always one or two questions, means 2 to 3 marks. Mandatory. It will come in the exam. That is mandatory, right? 2 to 3 marks from the IPv4 addressing. Okay. So let's start IPv4 addressing. IPv4 32-bit is there, right? IP address is a 32-bit. So that 32-bit we divide into 4 octets, right? We divide into 4 octets. Octet means 8-bit. We divide into 4 octets, right? So just this is your IP address, right? So how can you represent in the binary form? So if you want to represent that IP format into binary form, this is the way. This is 10. So in the binary, you can write like this: 0001010, right? So you know that part. You know this part. So you know this part, right? Similarly, 5 is there. So you can represent in the binary form like this. 37 is there. You can represent in the binary form like this. And 156, you can represent in the binary form like this. But in real world, when we store our IP address, we store in the integer value, unsigned 32. In the real world, in our companies also, we use unsigned 32 to store this IP address. So why 32-bit? Because 32-bit address is there. So whatever the value, the integer value of this, that value we store in it, right? So then there is a one function which can convert this integer value to this IPv format, right? So then we will convert. Normally, we in the database or in our storage, we store into integer format. So if you see, take this 32-bit value, take this 30, whatever the integer value of this complete value, that's a big number in the million, right? That value will be stored in the database. So this number we are not storing actually. So in the function, as a function, we will convert that integer value to the IPv format. That's the basic introduction. Guys, right? Till now is fine. Okay. So IPv4 addressing, actually two types of addressing are there: classful addressing and classless addressing, right? Classful addressing is the old concept. Like, no, till now there is in the real world we are not using, but still we will study. That is important. That is the base of the classless addressing, right? So classful addressing is the concept that divide the available address space of IPv4 into 5 classes, namely A, B, C, D, E, right? 5 classes we divide. You know this. So on what basis we are dividing the classes? These are the things. See, for the class A, the first octet we are taking. For the class A, first octet we are taking, right? For the class B, 2 octet for the network ID. I will talk about network ID and host ID, what is the meaning. And for the class C, 3 octet for the network ID, and the remaining will be host ID. For the class D, there is no partition between host and network. So there is nothing is like that. Complete is given IPv4. Similarly, class E. And in the class A, the first bit from the first octet, the first bit is fixed, which is 0, right? Which is 0. And in the class B, the first bit and this 2 bit is fixed. This 2 bit is fixed in the class B. Similarly, in the class C, these 3 bits are fixed, right? In the class D, these 4 bits are fixed. Because why these bits are fixed? Because we want to find out the sequence from 0 to 2 raised to 255. Actually, we want sequence. We will talk about this one, why 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, and this one. In the next further slide, I will talk about. Similarly, for the class A, this 4 bit will be fixed. This 1, 1, 1, 1, and remaining will be used.
Hi, Deepak sir. Karthik sir this side. So can you speak up a little louder? I think the mic, your distance from the mic is really far. So I think the strength of the voice is a bit less.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. I will check.
I think I faced this issue a bit, so I'm not sure if anyone else faced this. So I just thought
maybe maybe in the first party. Okay, guys, now fine.
Yeah, I think it is better now.
Yeah, now better. Yeah, actually, sometime automatically listen level goes to 50 or less than 50. So I just okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So now you understood these are the fixed bits. Why this 0 is fixed in the class A? Why this 1 0 is fixed in the class B? We'll see. This is just to find out the sequence of the IP address. And the class A, the 8 bit is given to the network, and the 0 is fixed. The remaining 7 is vary. We will change depend upon whatever our this is, and remaining this 24 bit is for host, right? So the range for this one is, if this is fixed, then range for this one like this, 1, 2, remaining 24 are there, right? So this is 1, and range will be 127 up to, because see, 0 is there, right? See, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, up to 0. and then again fix 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 like this. So this is your 127 and this is your 0. But in the class A, this 0, exact this 0 and this 127 is the spatial IP address, right? Normally we remove these two address, 0 or 127. Remaining 1 to 126 is the class A range. But we also say 127 is a part of class A, but this is a loopback address, so normally 127 is used by every class, right? But this is a range of IP address, not for the address, host. And similarly, for the class B, now 10 is fixed, right? 10 is fixed. Remaining 0 0 0 0 0 0 to 1 0 1 1 1 1 1 1 like this. So if you convert this binary number into decimal, this is 128 and this is 191, right? You know, this is the basic thing. Similarly, 192 to 223, because these bits are fixed, right? Similarly, 224 to 239, and then 240 to 255, right? So these are the classes ranges. So how these bits are fixed, we will see. Okay, now you know this one, this IP and this IP are the spatial IP address. So that will be used by all the classes and networks. So this will be removed from class A. So that's why the class A range is the 1 to 126 is exact range, right? And you know the octet, the range of the octet will be 0 to 255, because 8 bits are there. 8 bit means what? 2 raised to power 8. So 256. So range of 256 means 0 to 255. That is a range. So each octet range is 0 to 255, right? And see, we will talk about this spatial IP. What is the meaning of this DHCP client source IP address? And this is your loopback. So we will talk in the detail. What is the meaning of this one? What is the meaning of this one, right? So no need to worry. Any question you can ping me, or in the discussion you can talk anytime. So this is your class A. So 1 to 26 is the class A range, and these two are the spatial, right? And the class B, 128 to 191. And in the class B, you know, 10 is a starting bit. Similarly, 192 to 23, and this is a starting bit and leading bit. You can say starting bit or leading bit, and it is always fixed. Similarly, for class D, 224 to 239, and class C, 240 to 255. So basic thing, right? Okay. So see now how the sequence is becoming in this one. See, this is your complete 32-bit address, right? 32 means 2 raised to power 32 IP address possible. 2 raised to power 32 bit, well, 2 raised to power 32 IP address possible, right? You know, if 32-bit address is there. So let's say the first bit is 0. So this first bit is 0. So this 0 and this is given to the class A. This is complete class A. See, and now this 0 is done, right? Now the first bit, if it is 1, right? Now 0 part is done. Now it is 1, right? Now further I divide it. Now this next bit is 0. Next bit is 0. So this is your class B. And remaining will be 1 1, because 0 part is done. Now second bit is 1. Now the next bit is 0, like this. 1, right? This is 1. So this is your class C. Now the next bit is 0, right? And the other one, the fourth bit will be 1. So this is your class B and this is your class E, right? And see, in this 0, this is complete class A space, address space is there, complete. And in the class address space, every portion is given to the network. So these are the, let's say, networks are there. This is your network. This is your network. This is your network, like this. So this is your network. How many networks are there? See, 7 bits I'm using for the network ID. So 2 raised to power 7. 2 raised to power 7 networks are possible in class, right? And each network, how many hosts are possible? In each network, how many? 2 raised to power 24 hosts are possible, right? But there are few tricks are there we have to care. But for now, 2 raised to power 7 networks, because 7 bits are there. From this 7 bit, we can calculate 2 raised to power 7. Similarly, for next, see, the first octet is fixed for the class A. So one first bit is fixed. The remaining will be 7 bits. So 7 bits mean how many combinations are possible? 2 is to 7, right? And in the 32-bit arrays, this is your 24 bit, right? So 2 raised to power 24 host in each network. Let's say this is your one network. So in this 2 raised to power 24 host, which is around 17 million, which is around 17 million. Similarly for other classes, right? So in the let's say for the class B, 2 octets are fixed, right? And the remaining. So in the 2 octet, 2 raised to power 2 bits are fixed for the class B, right? Which is 10. The remaining will be 14. 2 raised to power 14 networks are possible in class B. And each network there is 2 raised to power 16 hosts are possible, right? Fine. So this is the basic thing, how we calculate number of networks and each network how many hosts are possible. Guys, any question? Otherwise, say yes or no in the chat. Okay. So see, these are the IP address classes. So address class A, B, C, D, E, range you know this one. So exact range is 1 to 126. This 127 is used by everyone, right? And this 0 is fixed bit. Already we talked about this, right? And how we calculated, you understood how we are choosing this 110, 110, because to find out the sequence of the IP address to divide. Actually, we want to divide my 32-bit address into classes. So this is the way to divide actually into the classes, right? So this one, the first octet is network ID, the remaining will be host. So the first octet is the network ID, remaining will be host. In that 2 octets are network ID and the remaining will be host ID. And here 3 octet means 24 bits for the network ID and the remaining will be host. So in this 2 raised to power 8 something, right? So this is D and E, they are not for commercial use and there is no partition between this network and host, right? And the default subnet mask for this one is, what is the subnet mask? Let's talk about the mask. Mask is a mathematical tool to find out the network ID from the any IP. Any IP is given, like say any IP 10.0.2.0.1 is given. If you know the subnet mask, one class A subnet mask is 255.0.0.0. If you do logical AND of these two, you can find out the network ID, right? So this mask represents the network tool. So how many bit is given in the class A for the network? 8 bits are given. So these 8 bits are all 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. See, right? So mask 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Not 0. Remaining are 0, right? Remaining are 0. So this will tell what is the network ID of this. See, my laptop is there. So this system is connected to the internet. So somehow, but this system exists in one of the networks. So what is the IP of my system plus what is the IP of my network? I can find out through the subnet mask, right? Right. Through the subnet mask. So only this is the only single use of the subnet mask to find out the network ID, right? So similarly for the class B, 2 octets are there. So it means 2 octets are 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So 16 bits are 1 in this subnet mask. Similarly for the class C, 3 octets, right? 24 bits are there for the network ID. Similarly, this 3 octet 1, 1, 1, 1 will be there for subnet mask, right? Now see, number of, I said 2 raised to power 7 number of network are possible, means 128, but not exactly. There is -2 voltage. Which -2? We already talked about, right? 0, 0, 0, 0 and 1, 1, 1. That is reserved, right? So these two are reserved. Remaining will be network possible. We will talk about what we are reserving, why we are reserving. This is broadcasting, everything in detail we will study. And host are I said 2 raised to power 25. No, but -2 is also there. We will talk about why -2. For now, just 2 raised to power 24 by whatever the IP address is given, but -2 we will talk in further slides. Similarly, in the class B, 2 raised to power 16s are there, -2. 2 raised to power in the class C, 2 raised to power 8 hosts are there, -2 is there, right? See, why -2 we'll talk. Before this, you should know the unicasting and broadcast. What is the meaning of unicasting and broadcast? Then only you understood why -2 is there. See, what is the meaning of unicasting? Here you have one network is there. This is your one network, and the IP address of the network is this one. So now all three are zero. Only this one, the first octet value is given. So it means this is a class A network. So one class A network. So how many hosts are possible in the class A? 2 raised to 24 minus 2. Right? That number of hosts are possible. And in that, from this network, take one of the hosts. So this is one of the hosts, and the IP of this host is this one. 32.1.2.3. That is one of the IP, right? And this network is connected with the another network. This is network 2. Let's say this is network 1. And this network is a class B network, right? So see, that's why this 2 octets is value and remaining will be 0. So if you want to find out the network ID or from this IP, you can use subnet mask. And from this network, how many hosts possible? 2 raised to 16 minus 2, right? And take one of the hosts. Let's say this one of the hosts, and the IP of this one is this, right? Now unicasting is always we are transferring our data from single host to single host. One-to-one communication is always what I'm saying. From one to multiple person you can't send. If one-to-one communication is there, this is we called unicasting. This is we called unicasting. The meaning of unicasting is this. That's it. And for getting the IP address of the network, put all host bit 0. You know that part. You understood this one. So host address is there. Just whatever the host bits are there, make them 0. Or the second way, I already know whatever the default mask. So this default mask of the class is 255.0.0.0 and 32.1.2.3. Take logical end of this, right? If you take logical end, the value will be 32.0.0.0, right? See, 32 means what? So this is 128, 64, 32. This is 16. This is 8. This is 4. This is 2. This is 1. Right? This is your 32. Now 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is your 255. This is subnet mask, and this is your IP address. And remaining will be also there for the IP. But I am just focusing on this one because in the subnet mask, first octet is 111. So now if you take logical and only this is 1. That is 1. Otherwise, logical AND means 0, 1 means 0, or 1, 1 means 1, or 0, 0 means 0 only, right? Okay. Unicasting is the second one, broadcasting. So one-to-one communication you understood, right? So broadcasting actually 2 types. Your limited broadcast and direct broadcast, or direct broadcast. So let's take one network. So this is your network, and which is address is this one. So this is a class A network, right? This is a class A network. Now take one of the host, and the IP of the host is this one. IP of the host is this one. Now the limited broadcast is this one, which is fixed throughout the all network, throughout the all classes. 255, 255. Now this is special IP, and we call limited broadcast. Why we call limited broadcast? Because it is used to send the packet from single host to all the hosts within the network. What I'm saying, if your data packet, this is your data packet. This is your data packet. Let's say some data is there, and the first one is the source IP, and second one is the destination IP. In the source IP, you know the host IP is there. From this host, I am sending my data. And the destination IP, let's say this one is there, 255, 255, 255, 255. What is the meaning of this one? From this host, whatever the data is there, that packet will be transferred within the same network where this host is lying, right? Within the same network, all the host will be transferred. From this, it will go to the router. From this one, here also, here also, here also, here also, here also. It means 2 raised to power 24 minus 2. 2 raised to power 24 minus 2. That number of means near about 17 million hosts we will transfer our data from that single host if we use this limited broadcast. Near about 17 million hosts. This is the meaning of the broadcast, right? Similarly, if we use class B, in the class B, how many hosts possible? 2 raised to power 16 minus 2, which is near about 65,000 plus 65,000 plus. So that number of hosts from single host, we can transfer our data to that number of hosts within the network. So if this limited broadcast is there, there is no chance from one network to another network communication. Only within the network will be there, right? For another network, let's see, we code for direct broadcast for another network. Let's say this is a class A network and this is a class B network. Now you want to transfer the data from this host to this network, right? And which IP you will use? A direct broadcast. So this 2-octet is used for the network ID. The remaining will, if the remaining host bit ID, host ID, if you make this all 11111, it become as a direct broadcast. It means 132.4.all11, 255.255. Now from this host, whatever the data is there, source IP is this one, destination IP is this one, and it will go through this network and will reach to each host of this network, right? Easy. Now within the network, limited broadcast I am using, right? And for another network, directed broadcast I am using, right? So directed broadcast is used to broadcast the packet in the different network. So we have to assign all host bit as one in the network address of destination network, right? So for you understood, this one is special IP 255.255.255.255. Now I think already you got why -2 I am doing. Let's see. So see why -2 I am doing. So 32.0.0.0 is there. So 24 bits host bit in class. But in the host, how many host possible? IP address I understood. From that, from this network, or on this network, 2^24 IP address possible, right? From that 2^24 IP addresses, if you remove this 2 IP, which the first one for the network ID, the second one for the direct broadcast, the remaining will be given to host. That's why 2^24 -2 always. Similarly, in class B also 2^16 -2. Why? Because the one for the network ID, which is 0000, right? Similarly, and the last one will be for the broadcast ID or broadcast address, right? So this is your network address and this is your address. That's why we are removing from the host, because this IP is for the network, not for individual host. So network is a not host, you can say. So for individual host, 2^24 -2, that number, which is near about 17 million. Guys, say yes or no, or any question you can ask. Okay, fine. Agree with me? Okay. Now there are few things are there, some notes are there. Let's see. If the source IP is this one, right? 255, 255. From this you can calculate, this is your class B. Now in the host side, all are one, right? So in the source IP, I can't use. This is invalid IP. So the whole data packet will be discarded by the router. See, data is there. In the data, in the header, you will add the source IP, which is your broadcast IP. This is your broadcast IP, right? So the router will check, see this is wrong, it will discard, right? So it never exists, not possible. Second one, there is one IP class A, individual host IP is there. This is your class A. Similarly, same class A is also there, IP. So this is within the same packet is there. Now, see, for one network, we need one router. Router is actually used to communicate with another router network. That's it. So if within the network, if you want to transfer from one host to another host, then there is no need of router to forward our packet outside. Outside to means to connection with the internet. So this is your internet. This is your internet, right? So this is one-to-one communication. Another meaning of this packet is, okay, one IP address is there, individual. Also, this is individual IP address is there. So this is a unicast, one-to-one, one host to another host we are transferring, right? And let's say I'm using class A IP, right? This is one of the host IP in the class A. And also I am using direct broadcast. Means within the same network, I am using direct broadcast, which is invalid. Within the same network, that direct broadcast we can't use because the direct broadcast will be used for the another network, right? So that is an invalid IP. Actually, the proper value should be 255, 255, 255, 255. That should be a limited broadcast, right? Guys, done? Okay. Now there is a one question you have to tell me in the form. So which of the following can be used as both source and destination IP from this four option? Just see, and you have 1 minute. Just you have 1 minute and check from which can be used as a both source and destination IP. You can see again. This is your spatial IP, right? This is your spatial IP, local host. Yeah. So the local host, source and destination itself is the same thing. What I'm saying, this is your host. So source is also, destination is also. So normally we can't use for the another network, right? This is the only for the local network within our same system. So this is not used as a source and destination IP. We can't use, right? Any other? You know that this is a local host, so within the same system only. You can't use as a source IP and transfer data or as a destination IP. If A system is there, B system is there, from B system can use this 127.0.0 as a destination. You can't, right? So see, now this is your limited broadcast, So broadcast address is always destination address. This is also not possible. See this part A. This is your class C. In the class C, host ID in last octet, right? Which is all 1-1. So this is also a direct broadcast. This is also a direct broadcast. You know the range of class A, B, C, D. Easily you can calculate. So this is also not possible because the broadcast address always will be destination. So answer will be this one because this is an individual IP to one of the hosts. So that host can be, that IP can be source IP or destination IP. So answer is D. Answer is D. Right? So this is your direct broadcast. So can't be used as source address. So this is your loopback address. So same IP with loopback address. So can't be used as a source address or destination address. Or similarly, this is your limited broadcast, which can't be used as source address, and this is can be used both source and destination IP. Now, a little bit introduction about private IP address and public IP address. See, what is the meaning of private IP and public IP? Private IP, which is not directly connected with the network or internet. What I am saying, there is no direct connection of this private IP with the internet. We need something, means one public IP. We need some public IP so that we can do the connection with the internet, or we can communicate with the internet, right? So there are some spatial IPs or some ranges are there, some spatial ranges are there, which is directly is allocated to the private IP. So these are the ranges. Let's say from the class A, this range is given. So this private IP is allocated from this class A. Similarly, from the class B, this range is given, right? And from the class C, this range is given, right? And private IP address are used for computer in private network. What I'm saying, see, more computer is there, and if all are connected to each other from LAN, and this one is not connected with the internet, so we can assign itself as a private IP to each other, right? In the private network. But public IP address are used for computer and global network. You know that these are basic things. So uniqueness about private IP. Private IP address need not to be unique in the global network, because why? Let's say what I'm saying. Say this is your network, class A network, and in class A network, one network is there. Take one network, 32.0.0.0.0, right? 32 network is there. So in this network, let's say one of the space, some space is given to any ISP. Let's say Airtel, or take any other thing, Vodafone, Airtel, or Xcorp, anyone. So some network space is there. So this guy can use this private IP range from this class. This guy. Similarly, another network from the class is given to another person, right? They can also use this private IP range from the class A. Similarly, how many networks are possible? 2⁻7 from the class A minus 2. So that number of network means 126 networks. So each network can use this private IP. So the uniqueness in the one network is there, but outside globally, no, it is not uniqueness at global level, right? So authorization, the third point. Public IP address should be unique in the global network, right? And the public IP address are provided only by the internet. Okay, yes, public IP is always provided by the internet, ISP, internet service provider. So this is public IP is unique throughout the global. And range is there. You see, this range is there, right? The range of address is up for private address. And the remaining IP address, except these addresses, remaining IP addresses are the public addresses, right? So routability means the private address are not, means there is no, from private IP to router, there is no connection. From one router to another router through private IP, no. There is something we need so that this private IP will be converted to public IP, then only we can communicate with the internet, right? But public address are routable. So we can move data from a private IP to public IP first, then from public IP to another network, right? Otherwise, not possible. Internet access, yeah, through that there is one word, network address translation. To this router only we can communicate, means a private IP can communicate to the internet, otherwise not possible. What is a net router? Net router will do, it will convert this private IP into public IP, then only we can communicate with the internet. But normal direct public IP can directly easily communicate. So we don't need that router for public IP. But private IP is there, then we need our net router. Similarly, cost. So you don't have to pay for using private IP. Let's see. Anyone can use the private IP. Any organization, any company can use the private IP. So there is no need to pay for, but for public IP, we have to pay, right? So any IP we are using public IP, we have to pay to the ISP, right? Then only we can use this IP. Let's say any website address, www.google.com. Some IP is there, some static IP is there, right? Is given. So already this IP, whatever the cost of this IP is there, already paid by the Google to ISP or this one, right? And the retrieve IP address, you can retrieve your private IP address by, that if you run in the command IP config, you will see the private IP, but from this IP config, you can't see public IP, right? For public IP, you have to search, go to the Google, let's see my IP. What's my IP is there? You can see my IP is there. See, if you run this IP config, here you have private IP. So this is your, from this you can say this is your class. And mask is if you say this is your default mask, right? This is your default mask. Now, Now you know bunch of private IPs are there, and remaining will be public IPs are there. No, but in network, let's say one network is there, and one IP is there to this corresponding network, 32.0.0, right? Now in this space we can use private IP, right? But how we will allocate private IPs to the system? Who will decide? Who will decide which IP is given to which system? That is the point, right? So when one of the IP, let's say one of the IP is assigned to one system, corresponding that system, let's say this is your server, let's say this is your main server, or this is your administrator. So one public IP is given to this one. And now this system can use private IP range, right? So which class we are using? This is your class C using. So class C IP I'm using. In the class C, private IPs are 192.168.0.0 192.168.255.255. This is the range, right? This is the range from the class C. Now, any IP you can use and assign to each system in this network, right? In this network, how will you assign? So see here, the server is loaded with network operating system, right? And it will get group of IP address in which one IP assigned to server. So one public IP is there, and NAT server is also there, NAT router is also there. Now from that private range, one IP is assigned to server itself. First of all, the first task is from the private range, one IP is given to this one. Any IP is possible. Normally the first IP will give. Normally we give 192.168.0.1. This is the default thing, but this is not a mandatory thing. Any IP, let's say 192.168.254.254, that also we can give to the server, right? So first task is this one, to assign private IP to server. Then server IP is given to every host with the help of limited broadcast. You know the limited broadcast, 255.255.255.255. So from this broadcast, I can send my packet from the server to all the hosts and tell this is my server IP, right? Right? So now when see, this is your limited broadcast, and the 192.168.0.100. This is your private IP, and this is your limited broadcast. So this is your source IP, and this is your destination IP. When we'll send this packet, it will transfer to each host. Now each host get to know this is our server IP. This is our server IP. Till now, there is no private IPs allocated to any host, all except server, right? So when client request for IP to server, then client send MAC. See what I'm saying? Now there is nothing, no private IP is assigned to this one. Only MAC address is there, which is unique. You know the MAC address, right? MAC address is there. Everyone want their private IP. What will do? They do as a source IP. Right now, host IP is not known, so we will use this client as a source address. DHCP client IP, we call this one as a source address, and destination you know, because already server sent the packet to each host. Now you have 0.0.0.0. This is your source IP, and remaining will be 192.168.0.100. Right? Now this is your data, and in the data we are including MAC address also, because to uniqueness. Right? So now from this DHCP client as a source address, when we send to the server get to know the MAC address of that particular IP, then server will assign one of the IP from this private range to that particular host. Similarly, each host will send this packet with the MAC to the server, then server will allocate one of the IP from the range, right? And to communicate with the internet, you need NAT router, which is network address transmission. It will convert the private IP to public IP. Guys, any question on this? Any doubt? Sanjeev, Bhavya, Gayatri? No? Nitin? Fine. So this is how we are assigning our private IPs to the each host, and when from the private IP host want to communicate with the internet, first that IP will be converted to the public IP. Which public IP? This public IP. This public IP. NAT will convert this any all this private IP to same public IP, because only one IP is assigned to this, right? Only one IP is assigned to this. Okay. So see now, the broadcast address for IP network is this one with the subnet mask is here. So tell me the broadcast address. Okay. Yeah. Tell me. Right? The broadcast address for IP network, this one with subnet mask with this one is this. Why? Because whatever the host octets are there, all should be one. All must be one. So which is 255, 255. That's why B. So it's just a basic question. That's it. Now, there are some problem with classful addressing. There are some problem with classful addressing. Mainly two problems are there. Insufficient use of address space. What is the meaning of insufficient use of address space? Let's say one of the network, like one of the company wants 2000, one of the company has 2000 hosts. Means 2000 IPs are required, right? 2000 IP I need. From which class we can allocate 2000 IPs? If you take class A, if one of the network I gave to this company, how many IPs I'm giving? 2 raised to power 24, 70 million. No use, right? Let's say class B. Let's say class B. 2 raised to power 16 IPs are there. If I gave 2 raised to power 60 IPs, means near about 65,000 plus. That number of IP I'm giving to this company. Still, I need only 2000. So 63 plus will be wasted. 63,000 plus will be wasted. This wastage is there. Let's say class C. So in the class C, how many IPs are there to each network? 2 raised to power 8, which is 256. And for how many hosts possible? -2, which is 254. Right? So 2 raised to power 56 IP I'm giving to this company. But this is not sufficient. Right? This is insufficient. How many I need? I need 2000. Right? So how many networks from class C I have to give? Near about 8 networks you should give. Right? So 8 multiplied by 256, which is near about 2048. Right? That number of IP I am giving to that company means 8 network I am giving, or 65,000 or 17 million. So none of techniques, both are not suitable actually. Something wastage is there. In the first two class, for class A, class B. Class A and class B, wastage is there, right? But from the class C, wastage is not there. But what we are doing, 8 network we are doing. By giving 8 network, we are increasing our router table entries. Because see, 8 network are giving of one company. Now one company has 8 networks, and each network 254 host is there. So how many routers are required? 1 router, 2 router, 3 router, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 routers are there. So each router is maintaining entries of all the other networks, right? All the other networks. So the processing on each router will be more. So it is insufficient. Router processing will be more, right? So it is insufficient. So that's why it's a proliferation of router table entries. This is also a disadvantage. So this is a disadvantage from the class C, and disadvantage from the class B or class A, you can say. Right? So these two main disadvantages are there from classful addressing, right? So that's actually all the concept. To sort out this one, we come to the subnetting, variable length variable length subnetting or classless addressing. We will talk about what meaning of subnetting and classless. Subnetting means one network is there. As per our requirement, we are dividing our network. We are dividing our network into small network. That small network will be subnet or subnetwork, right? So let's talk about networking. Okay, guys, any question till now? Okay, so you're you're in the class full. Five classes are there. A, B, C, D, E. And in these three, your network and host ID is there. There is no partition in this, right? Range, you know, -2. Why we are doing -2? Why? Because the first one IP is given for the network ID and the second is given for the broadcast IP. That's why we are doing -2, right? You know the broadcast two types, limited and direct broadcast. You know the unicast, meaning of from single host to single host data transfer, right? And there are some disadvantage of class full. What a disadvantage? Some space wastage, right? Insufficient space usage. And the second one is more processing on the router or more router entry will be there, right? These are the two main disadvantages on the class full. To solve this advantage, we need subnetting, means dividing our large network into small network. What is the meaning of dividing? Let's see. So this IP is there, 52.93.240.35. Let's say this is a Google server. Let's say this is Google server, right? So what is the network IP of this one? A network IP is this one. Why? Because this is your class A, and if you calculate the network IP, the host octet will be 0, right? So this is your network IP. And what will be your direct broadcast? Whatever the host bits are there, all should be 1. All must be 1. So whatever the host bits are there, all must be 1. So that's why this is your direct broadcast. And what will be your default mask? It is 255.0.0.0, right? And maximum host, how much possible? 2 raised to about 24 minus 2. It's near about 17 million. Now I'm dividing this network. A large network, into 4 subnetwork. And this 4 subnetwork, the one subnetwork in USA, another is UK, another is Australia, another is in India. That's it. And why we are doing subnetting? You know, the wastage of space and other things are there. Security reasons are there, or some legal terms is also there. Because some countries ask you should set up your network in India only. You can't set up your in outside for the security reasons, from national security, you can say. So we are dividing large network into smaller network. See how we are dividing. So you know network ID is 52.0.0.0, right? How many hosts are there? 2 raised to 24 minus 2, that one. If you divide that one, so how you will divide? So whatever there, if you divide, so divide means what? 52 dot from 0 to 63. See, 256 divided by 4. Right? In the 4 parts you have to divide. So 0 to 63, 64 to 127, 128 to 191, and 192 to 255. These are the 4 divisions, right? How we are dividing. Similarly, if you see 52.0.0.2, 52.60.63.255.255, that number of IP I am assigning to subnetwork 1. Similarly, the next range will be, so up to 63 is done. The next will be 64. 64.0.0 to 127, which is to equally size I'm dividing, right? Dividing to S2. Similarly, from 128 to 191 to S3, and 192.0.0 to 255 to S4. This is how I am dividing, right? So divide into 4 subnetworks for now, right? So in how actually in the IP address, what we are doing, this 0 or this 63, what is this the meaning? What I am doing? So what we are doing, we are borrowing some bits from host to create subnetwork. What I am saying, let's say this is your, so this is your host bits are there, and this is octet. So some bits we are borrowing from host side to network part. So now this bits, let's say I took, now I want to divide how in what, let's say one network is there, in how many sub network I want to divide? 4 networks. So for dividing 4 networks, how many bits are required? Only 2 bits are required, right? So these 2 bits are sufficient, right? Let's say this 2 bit I borrowed from the host part to network part. So now the network part exactly becomes 10 bits, 8 plus 2. So remaining host part will be 2 raised to power 22. So in each subnet, 2 raised to power 22 minus 2 host will be there, or IP address 2 raised to power 22. This way we are dividing. So somehow I am taking some bits from the host part and merging with the network part. Let's see how what I'm saying. See, 52 is there, and 8 bits for the second octet, and the range of this one. So these 2 bits I'm using as a network ID or subnetwork ID, right? So these 2 combination possible means 0001 1011, right? So this is your subnetwork 1, subnetwork 2, subnetwork 3, subnetwork 4. Now this is your fix. Let's say this is your fix. So 00 is fixed, right? The first 00 is fixed. Now if you find out the range, the remaining will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Another will be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is your 0, and this one is 60. That's why 60. Right? Similarly, next one, your 0, 1. Now 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Right? And here 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which is 127. And this is your 64. Similarly, 128 and 191. Here 192 and 255. So we divided a large network which containing 17 million hosts into 4 subnetworks, right? Now each subnetwork is containing 2 raised to power 22 minus 2 hosts, right? Now why minus 2 from the subnetwork? Again, same question. Why minus 2 for the subnetwork? Because the first IP, this IP, the first IP is a subnet network IP. Subnetwork IP is required. Now this is also a network, right? It is a small network, but it is also a network. Some IP is required for the network. So one first IP for this subnet ID, and the last IP, this is your last, which is also a direct broadcast IP. Because within same subnetwork, if you want to transfer to data to each host, you need some broadcast IP, right? So this is also a broadcast IP within the same subnetwork, right? Right? Say yes or no. Agree with me? Okay. Now see. Now I divided the whole network. This is your whole network into 4 subnetworks, right? Into 4 subnetworks. And this 4 subnet are linked with the router. Let's say this is your internal router. This is internal router, and from this whole network, this network is also linked with the another network from internet. So for this also we need router. So let's say this is your external router. Let's say this is your external router. And how many hosts in there? How many subnet? 2 raised to power 2, right? 2 bits I borrow now. 2 raised borrow means 2 raised to power means 4 subnet possible. 4 subnet possible. Now see, if the packet is coming from the internal network, right? From the internal network, and with this address, then the packet is treated to broadcast address is S4. What I am saying, see. 52.255.255.255. See, this is your direct broadcast address of this network. You know that because this is your 52 is the IP address for the network. The remaining bit, if make all one, it become as a broadcast. So this address is a broadcast address for whole network. But this same address is also a broadcast address for subnetwork 4 because that is the last IP of the subnet 4, right? Now, if this address is coming from the internal router, right? Means within the same network. Then all the data or all packet will be transferred to each host of this network. But if this destination address will come from the external router, then the packet will be transferred to each host of the all network. In this network, what I'm saying, when data comes from this external, then the packet will be transferred to each subnet. But let's say packet come from here and destination I'm using this one, then the packet will go to only this subnet, only each host of this subnet, right? Understood? So how I am using, it's depend who is calculating, who is finding, this router is finding or this external routing, depend upon this one, right? If the packet is coming from outside network, then it will be treated as broadcast address for whole network, right? Because who is doing calculating the IP address, who is decoding this IP address, this external router, right? That's why the single packet will be transferred to each subnetwork from this address, from the broadcast address, or from let's say from S1 I'm sending to S4 with this address, with the same address only to S4. That's the who will decode this one, internal router for this. See, this is your new concept. This is new concept actually. Earlier, the thing before 2014 or maybe 2012, we normally avoid. I said na 4 subnet are possible. Earlier, actually 2 subnet was possible. 2 subnet. Normally we do 2 raised to power 2 minus 2 always. Because this broadcast address or one network ID, this network ID is reserved for whole network ID, and this broadcast address is reserved for whole network, right? So that's why only 2 subnetwork, this one and this one we are using earlier. But there is so much wastage of IP address. Whatever the IP address is from this subnetwork or from this subnetwork is a wastage. So after this one, after this year, most probably, exactly I don't know, but some year after this year, they call as a subnetwork itself. So, but how they are calling? By using this same broadcast, sending to the subnetwork. When the packet is coming from the internal network, if packet is coming from the external network, then same IP as a broadcast for whole network. Now, if in the exam, if you see 2007 or 8 question, answer to calculate the number of subnet, the answer will be 2. Answer will be 2 in the GATE exam. If you see 2007 or 6 question, answer will be 2, because always -2 will be there. Why -2? Because this broadcast address and this network IP. But now in future, if question come, no, you have to do 2 raised to power 2 means 4 only. You can't use -2. This one. So don't confuse by looking previous year questions. That is like, this is your old concept and this is your new concept, right? In my time, I used to do -2, but now you can't. That means they changed the subnetting concept. Guys, say yes or no? Okay, fine. Now, number of host possible means 2 raised to power that number of host bit -2, you know. And the first bit, the why -2, the what is subnet ID, and the other one for subnet direct broadcast ID, right? That's why -2. So this why 2 raised to power 22 -2, number of hosts possible in each subnet, right? Let's talk about subnet mask now. You know 32 bit is there, right? So what is the meaning of subnet? There are 2 things are there: fixed length mask, subnet mask, or variable length subnet mask. Variable length subnet mask, right? 2 things are there. Fixed length is always 255, like means 255.0.0.0. Here 255.255.0.0. And third one is 255.255.255.0. This is a fixed length. But if you see this value, and convert this value into decimal, let's say convert this value into decimal. Oh, sorry, binary. Convert this value into binary. 1111
So earlier decimal value we are playing with for calculating mask. For calculating mask with this dot, right? With this dot. If you move, if the line is there for the partition, if the partition line is there, then we call class B. If the partition line is there, then we call class C. If the partition line is here, we call class A. But if you see from the binary perspective, let's say partition is coming here, or let's say partition is here, partition is here, right? Let's say partition is coming here. Now, specific subnet mask we can calculate, not always 255, 255, 255. Take single octet, take 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, right? So if you do the partition here, right, if it's the masking, so 254 will be there. If the partition is here, then 252 is there. Similarly, like this, right? So 192 will be there, right? 248 will be there. Similarly, or 128 will be there, or 64 will also there possible, but no, 1 is 2 there, 192 is there, right? 192 will be there. Similarly, specific, this is called variable length subnet. This is called variable length subnet, right? Now see. Okay. Now see subnet mask, 32 bit is there. In the subnet mask, all the network and subnet bit are 1, right? In the subnet mask, all the network and subnet bit are 1 and host bit are 0. You know that part. For subnetting, whatever the network portion is there, whatever the network portion, including subnetwork also, that should be 1. That should be 1 for finding subnet mask. So if this is there, so it means 111111. So this is your variable length subnet. Specific, this to IP, because I borrowed 2 bits from the host ID to network portion. That's why this is 1 for subnet. So why subnet mask? Because it is a mathematical tool to find network ID. So to finding network ID, that all network bits must be 1, right? So network mask is calculating at the time of subnetting itself. So in the router itself, we calculate what will be the network ID to the masking. See how, let's see how we are doing. So there is a router, this is internal router. This is your internal router. How I am doing masking, let's see. This is your subnet mask. See, from 92 means 110000. So 2 bit I borrowed from the host part into network portion, right? 2 bit I borrowed. So now your subnet mask become this one, right? This one. So that whole network I divide into 4 parts, right? This is your first, second, third, fourth. This 4 range is given, right? So this 4 subnet is linked with the internal router. And there is interface I'm using, this interface, I1, I2, I3, I4, some Ethernet port you can say. The interface means Ethernet port. From like this internal router will do the masking and find out to which subnet I have to send that packet. Through this interface it will send. Right? So this one, if internal router receive the packet with this IP, it will forward to corresponding interface. So this interface you want to send by after doing masking, or this interface, right? And this is your external router. Else, if the IP does not belong to this range, then use mask this one and send to external router. Let's say whatever the network comes, if that network don't belong to this range, better to send to external router. See the example. So if external router send the packet with IP, this one, right, with IP. So see, from the external it is coming, your data is there and some address is there, some source address. Right now, any take this one, 202 203 something 11, right? Oh sorry, 255 take, right? So this is your source IP. Now destination is given here. 52.10 is there, right? Now that packet is coming from the outside, but in which subnet we have to send? In which subnet we have to send? So for this, router internal will perform masking, right? Subnet mask, subnet mask, this one. If you do the masking, you will get this IP, subnetwork IP, right? Which is a S1, So now interface 1, I will transfer my packet to interface 1 to that particular subnetwork. So by getting the subnet ID, router internal will forward to the corresponding subnetwork. Agree? Simple, right? Say yes or no, guys. Okay. See, it's good. What I'm saying, this is your router internal link with S1. These are the subnetwork. In each subnet, 2 raised to power 22 minus hosts are there. And the first IP is for the subnet IP and the last IP for the broadcast. Similarly for other subnet, right? You know that part. So internal and whole network, this whole network is linked with the external router, right? Now, what I'm saying, some packet came from the outside with this IP. On this host, we have to send. On this host, we have to send any packet, whatever the packet coming from the outside. This is your destination address. This is your destination address in the packet, right? Now, when it will come to the external router, it will see which network. From this one, now the masking for this one is 255.0.0.0, right? For the external. When the external router do the masking, find out the network address. Yeah, this is my address. Now the packet will go inside, right? The packet will go inside because it goes to the external router. It go to the inside, right? Now again, internal router will do the masking to find out which subnet network. So the subnet mask here is 52.192 or 255. 255.192.00. So masking with whatever the IP, 52.10.1.2, right? So you will get 52.0.0.0. This is your subnetwork ID. So subnetwork ID of what? S1 only, right? This is S1. So now the packet will go to like this. So by getting the subnet ID, the router will forward to the corresponding. Then in that subnetwork to that particular host, which is 10.1.2. That is a particular host. Right, Nitin? Okay. Now see, if the subnet mask is there, so this is your variable length. See what I am doing. So from this last 8 bit, some bit I borrowed into this one. So from this, what is the value of this one? You can calculate here. So 111.0.0.0.0. This is your 224. This is your 224, right? So which of the flowing address cannot be assigned to network host? Yeah, tell me. Which of the following address cannot be assigned to the network host? Think, you have 1 minute, think, then we'll talk about it. Take your time, it's fine. It's the first time, it will take time, fine. Take your time and So we have to assign the IP to network host. Host, you know, right? 2 raised to power something minus 2. So that minus 2 is also there. So which of the IP can you assign to the network host or can't assign to the network? This is little tricky question. If you listen, if you give proper attention, the meaning of broadcast address, meaning of network IP and the host IP, then you will easily try to decode this value, try to decode these values into binary. Where you are saying B. Let's see. Yeah, try guys. See, let's take first one. You know, this is mean 252, 24 means what? 2.24 means 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. This is 128 plus 64 plus 32, which is 224, right? This is clear, right? Up to here is fine. So now you understood this 5 bit for host, this 5 bit for host, and the other up to here, this is for network. This is for network, right? Now take any example. This 63, let's say 63, right? 63 means what? 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is your 63, right? And 93, first one is there. For 93, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. That is your 93. Third one, 56, which is 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. Your 56. And fourth one will be 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. This is your 55. Now see the 5 bits. These 5 bits. These 5 bits are all 1. If host bits are all 1, that will be a broadcast address, not host IP, right? So this IP is not possible for the host, right? Because this IP is reserved for the broadcast. If you see from the 5 bits, these 5 bits are reserved for the broadcast. You know broadcast means. So the A cannot be assigned to network host, right? Agree? See B. Now check B. Now this 11101. Yeah, this is a normal one because 0 is there. All are not 0 or all are not 1. Right. It is possible one of the IP for the host. Similarly, see this 5 bits. Okay, this is also possible. See this one also. This is also possible. Right? Bhavya? Understood? So answer A. This IP cannot be assigned to network host. Why? Because this is your broadcast IP. This is our broadcast IP. By checking the subnet mask, in the subnet mask, how many bits? 24 plus 3. 27 bits are reserved. 27 bits are reserved for the network, and the remaining 5 bits for the host. If that host, these host bits are all 1, that will be used for the broadcast, right? Right? So answer A. So B is normal IP for the host, C is also for the host, D is also for the host, but this A is cannot be used to any host, right? Guys. Okay. So this is solution you can see later. So see, this is your network mask and 224 means this. Now if you see this one, all are 1, right? Next question. The subnet mask for a particular network is this one. So this is a great question or tricky question. Normally we use subnet mask is like normally we use subnet mask in continuous way, right? But here subnet mask is like this 31, which is 0 0 0 1 1 1 1 1. This is your subnet mask. Which of the following pair of IP address could belong to this network? Which of the pair of this IP belong to the same network? Through this subnet mask, we have to calculate, right? See, by looking 255, 255, you are sure this is a class B, right? This is a class B because both are 1 1. Remaining, we are taking this from where? From host part, right? Now you have to tell me these two pair IPs belong to same network or not. So what answer will be there, right? Just you have to do logical and that's it. Do bitwise AND. This subnet mask do bitwise AND with each IP and find out the network ID is coming same or not. Right? Network ID is coming same or not. That will be answer. A simple one. Right? See, now 31 is there, right? 255, 255 is there too. So now this is 57, this is 56. Both are different. So they are not belong to same network. By looking A, answer is wrong. So see the answer, this one, see. 203 is there, 234 is there. Both are different. This is also not possible, right? Now B or D is left. Now you have to do bitwise AND with the subnet mask with this IP and find out what will be our subnet network ID. If you do this one, and dot 35 dot 52, right? And subnet ID means 255 dot 255 dot 31.0. The answer will be and dot 35 dot 28.0 something. Similarly, if you do this one also, answer will be and dot 35 dot 29.0 something, which is different, right? Which is different. Now, same with same subnet ID, do bitwise AND with these two IDs. Now the answer will become same. Answer will be 128.8.1.0. This is for both IP, for both IP. So the answer will be D. Easy calculation. That's why I'm doing here, right? Answer is D, right? You can do. You know the binary things and decimal things. Easily you can calculate. Let's. Any question, guys? Okay. So now question is, this is your IP, right? And this is your subnet mask. You know, you understood. We one network is there. We divide it into subnetwork. This is your core subnet. Let's say, right? Now this is your subnetwork is given. Tell me, calculate IP address of fourth host of fifth subnet, and also IP address of fifth host of fourth subnet. Tell me the two IP address you have to calculate. And little change here. This is not 28. 248. Subnet is 248. 248 means 1 1 1 1 1 0 0. This is your 248. So what is the fourth host, fifth subnet IP? See, from here you understood 5 bits are there, right? We are borrowing from the host. So 2 raised to power 5. 32 subnetwork possible. 32 subnetwork possible. Understood. So the from that 32 subnetwork, the fourth, fifth subnet and fourth subnet, from the fifth subnet, fourth host, and from the fourth subnet, fifth host. You have to tell the IP. That's it. See, fifth subnet means what? Five bits are there, right? 5 bits are there. So this is your fifth subnet, right? Like this. And 3 bits for the host. Then host, fourth host means what? 100. This is your IP. It becomes the IP, right? Simple. And the fourth subnet means what? Fourth subnet. This is 5 bit for the sub network and 3 bit for the host. So fourth subnet means what? 1 0 0. This is your fourth subnet. And fifth host means simple. Now you can calculate this value and this value and just tell me the IP. IP will be 199.50.193 for the first, this one, and for the second, this one, the other one. This is something here. Right? See, this is 32, this is 8, this is your 4, this become 44. Now this is your 44. So first A means 199.15.193.44. Right? Now see second one. This is your 32, right? This is your 8, this is your 8, this is your 4, and this is your 1, right? How much? 40 for the 45, right? Some mistake I did or something? No, some mistake I did. You calculate this binary value. Oh, this is actually a line, partition line. I ignore that 8. So this one is 37. So 1, this is 1, this is 1, and this is 1. That is 37. So answer will be 199.15.193.44, and the other one is 199.193. This is how we are getting IP address of that fifth subnet, fourth host, like this. So in the next lecture, actually, we will talk about previous year gate question, complex and difficult, and few more thing about subnetting, and then CIDR and supernetting. I think that IP addressing is done in the next lecture, most probably. I think for today, I think for networking is fine. Guys, any question? I'm done from the networking perspective. Only one question is there. Any question you can ask from the networking? Otherwise, I will discuss computer architecture, one question, whatever we have to discuss in the class. One question. Sanjeev has doubt in it. Guys, say yes or no. See, in IPv4, classful and classless. In the classful, 5 classes we studied, right? The number of hosts, number of network, the first IP will be the subnet IP, and the last IP will be the broadcast IP. This is the main thing. That's it. So we divided our large network into some network, right? Why we are dividing? Because 2 problems are there. The first problem, because wastage of space, and the second is the more processing on the routing table. When we use the, let's say, 2000 hosts and classes we are using, 8 network will be required. So 8 network means more entry in the routing table, more processing will be required, right? Okay, fine. I think for today, I think done. Next class, we will discuss about near about 10 to 12 problems of previous year gate of subnetting and this one, and few problems on CIDR and these concepts also. Okay, and now next start this one.